While Cain and Abel's story often takes the spotlight in discussions about Adam and Eve's descendants, other biblical narratives featuring additional sons and daughters tend to be overlooked. Despite being less renowned than Cain and Abel, these individuals hold significance as some of the earliest humans. By exploring old traditions, the Holy Bible, and the Book of Jubilees, we can uncover who these lesser-known figures were and how many existed. Join us as we uncover the intriguing history of Adam and Eve's daughters. Biblical scholars and theologians frequently ignore the unknown tale of Adam and Eve's daughters. The enigma surrounding Adam and Eve's daughters sparks the interest of even people unfamiliar with the sacred scriptures. Usually, when people read the Bible, they concentrate on the more famous sons. They frequently overlook the fact that Adam and Eve had several daughters. Interesting details of Adam's sons and daughters may be found in Genesis 5:4-5. The days of Adam after he fathered Seth were 800 years, and he had other sons and daughters. Thus, all the days that Adam lived were 930 years, and he died. According to the scripture, Adam lived for 800 years after giving birth to Seth, during which time he fathered both sons and daughters, giving him 930 years until he died. The daughters of Adam and Eve are not named in the Bible. The names of some of these daughters, however, might be understood from old Jewish customs and the Book of Jubilees. The Book of Jubilees, also called the Little Genesis, is a collection of the Old Testament Apocrypha. It chronicles the story of several Old Testament figures, mostly from the Book of Genesis. It recounts the creation of the world and the creation of Adam and Eve. Despite this, the earliest document available is from about 700 BCE. It is a duplicate of an even older composition. Some scholars speculate that the scribe Ezra may have composed it by connecting the Book of Jubilees to the Book of Chronicles. On the other hand, the Book of Jubilees states that Moses, who had insight from an angel on Mount Horeb, was the genuine author. It is important to remember that Moses is described in the Bible as having gone 40 days and 40 nights without eating or drinking water, while in God's presence atop Mount Horeb. It is not impossible that Moses was the author after all. Many copies of the Book of Jubilees are circulated among the Israelites, indicating their great significance in society. The Book of Enoch, another enigmatic apocryphal work that was well known to early Christians and even included in their canon of scripture, is also mentioned. The Book of Jubilees contains events that correspond with the history of the Bible. Now returning to Adam and Eve, various ancient Hebrew traditions give more insights. Avan. Other stories and personalities related to the family of Cain, Adam, and Eve are described in ancient manuscripts not part of the canonical Bible, such as the Book of Jubilees and other apocryphal literature. In these other stories, Avan exists as Cain's sister and his wife, implying a mixing of familial ties. Another stated individual, Cain, is claimed to have had offspring. One of them is Enoch, an important figure in biblical genealogy. These legends claim that Cain, exiled after killing his brother Abel, created the city of Enoch to remember his son. In addition, several texts mention a figure called Calaman, described as Cain's spouse and the oldest daughter of Adam and Eve. With information and tales not found in the canonical scriptures, these books and traditions give an alternate viewpoint on the ancestry and connections among the early human generations. It's important to remember that these books are not included in the widely recognized biblical canon and are thus regarded as non-canonical. They belong to the larger corpus of ancient religious and cultural writing produced by different groups and customs. Although these books may provide insight into interpretations or stories prevalent in certain cultural contexts, major religious traditions only sometimes recognize them as authoritative or historically accurate. Scholars and specialists in religion frequently examine these writings to comprehend the many beliefs, tales, and interpretations that were common in the past. The stories contained in the canonical Bible are made more complex and interesting by the presence of people like Avan, Cain, Enoch, and Calaman in these works. And it also sheds light on the various religious and cultural ideas in history. Azura. According to ancient Semitic traditions, Adam and Eve's second daughter was Ashur. Ashur became the wife of Seth, the third son of Adam and Eve, born following Abel's death. The name Seth has Hebrew historical roots linked with the notion of compensation or substitute. This is essential because Seth is regarded as a substitute for the loss of ability, offering divine compensation in the eyes of Adam and Eve. Seth is portrayed as a holy and religious descendant whose genealogy leads to Noah, a key figure in the biblical flood account and the survival of humanity. The Book of Jubilees adds a fascinating detail, claiming that Azura was originally Abel's wife and became a widow following his death. The Book of Jubilees tells us that Azura was born in the 6th week of the 4th Jubilee and married her brother Seth in the 5th week. After Seth reached adulthood, he married a woman, and from their union, the lineage of Seth started. Azura gave birth to Enosh, and when he reached maturity in the 4th year of the 6th week, he married his sister Nome during the 3rd week of the 7th Jubilee. Enosh was well known for his devotion to God's worship and holy lineage. Genesis 5:6-11. When Seth had lived 105 years, he fathered Enosh. Seth lived after fathering Enosh for 807 years and had other sons and daughters. Thus, all the days of Seth were 912 years, and he died. When Enosh had lived 90 years, he fathered Kenan. Enosh lived after he fathered Kenan for 815 years and had other sons and daughters. Thus, all the days of Enos were 905 years, and he died. The main place Enosh is mentioned in the Bible, which gives his ancestry. After 105 years of life, Seth gave birth to Enosh. Seth had sons and daughters throughout the 807 years he lived after Enosh was born, for 912 years until he passed away. Before his passing, Canaan Enos, a son, lived for 815 years and gave birth to 815 sons and daughters before passing away. His prayer life and use of God's name make him most well known. The ancient Book of Jubilees and Semitic Jewish tradition both hold that people started to call upon the name of the Lord during the known time. This passage suggests that he played a significant role in promoting worship and devotion to God among the descendants of Seth, marking a period of spiritual and religious seeking. This is mentioned in Genesis 4:26. To Seth a son was also born, and he called his name Enosh. At that time, people began to call upon the name of the Lord. Cain's bloodline began when he married his sister Avon. However, the biblical text indicates that Adam and Eve had many sons and daughters, especially considering that, according to ancient traditions, Adam and Eve lived for over 800 years and were exceptionally fertile, surpassing all human fertility records. On the other hand, Seth married his sister Azura, giving rise to Seth's lineage. They are thought to have had hundreds of boys and daughters over their lifetimes. According to Guinness World Records, Valentina Vasilyev was the lady who had the most offspring ever documented in human history. With just 2 of them passing away at an early age, Valentina Vasilyev is said to have had 69 living children from her 27 pregnancies, including 16 pairs of twins. There are 7 triplet sets and 4 quadruplet sets. Although there are stories of ladies having as many as 50 or even 60 children, Valentina Vasilyev remains as the acknowledged record holder. Notably, Eve's fertility is regarded as unmatched in human history because she lived an incredibly long. According to biblical accounts, she reached the remarkable 900 years. Additionally, traditional beliefs hold that Adam and Eve had roughly 70 or more children during their lifetime. According to several theories, they may have had hundreds of sons and daughters in Genesis 6:1. When man began to multiply on the face of the land, daughters were born to them because of their excellent health and procreative cultural setting. As Adam's offspring multiplied on earth, several beautiful daughters are said to have been produced, a fascinating aspect that is frequently overlooked. Like their daughters, the sons of Adam and Eve had unique ethnic lines. Given the ethnic variety of humanity, the multitude of racial and ethnic groups demonstrates this variety. We observe that all people today share a common ancestor in Adam and Eve. The study of mitochondrial DNA, or mitochondrial Eve, supports this theory by showing that despite the diversity of ethnicities and races, all people share a common ancestor. Around the globe, according to this DNA study, all individuals are descended from the same mother, underscoring the richness and connectivity of racial and ethnic variety in our global society. What is your opinion about the tale of the daughters of Adam and Eve? Comment below and subscribe to the channel. By doing so, you help our ministry reach more people.